Good evening. Increasing demand for seats has forced one rail company to reduce the number of first-class carriages and convert them into standard class. Passenger numbers on Virgin trains have more than doubled to 34 million in the last 17 years. It's part of the reason that it's embarked on a £5 million programme to increase seats on its services. More than 20 trains are being converted in a move it's hoped will reduce overcrowding. Here's our transport correspondent, Peter Plisner.
Let's do it.
Feel awesome when you arrive. That's the message from Virgin's latest ad campaign, but that's not always the way every passenger feels, particularly when trains are busy and overcrowded. What often makes matters much worse is that first class sometimes appears to be empty.
It's a big frustration, yeah, when you can sometimes you stand in between the carriages and you can see a whole carriage empty.
Yeah, I appreciate they're paying, top dollar to sit in first class, but an empty seat is an empty seat at the end of the day, isn't it? So.
But that scenario could be about to become a thing of the past. Virgin's busy converting one first-class carriage into standard class on some of its trains. The work's being carried out at a depot near Wolverhampton, and it's created around 30 new jobs. At the beginning of this week, there were 46 first-class seats in this carriage. At the end of the week, there'll be 76 standard-class seats. Each train does around 1,000 miles a day, and Virgin reckons that when all trains have been converted, it'll mean an extra 5,000 standard-class seats every day. According to Virgin, it's a proactive measure designed not only to deal with current issues, but also well into the future.
The problem is not at its peak yet. That's one of the challenges, because we continue to grow as a business. So what we wanted to do was to actually do something proactive before the crowding got to a point where we couldn't cope.
And Virgin's decision to play musical chairs has been welcomed by analysts today attending a rail exhibition at the NEC.
Overall, passenger ridership has risen. Remember that Virgin also introduced a much more intensive timetable with 3 trains an hour to Birmingham. So they're still getting overcrowding despite that. So yes, we need every seat we can have, and this conversion is a very useful idea.
Useful and already applauded by passengers. The refurbishment programme is expected to be completed by the end of September. Peter Plisner, BBC Midlands Today.
I'm joined now by Phil Davis from the rail watchdog Travel Watch. Good evening. Phil, it sounds quite drastic in a way, but presumably you welcome more carriages being converted from first to standard.
Well, 2,000 extra seats is obviously good news, because one of the problems is you can't get a seat necessarily when you travel on what is one of the fastest services in the country, so that has to be good. But these particular trains, they've had some problems with comfort for passengers, so I'm a bit concerned. What we need now is to pay more attention to a better quality of journey for passengers, not just more seats.
Wouldn't it have been simpler for Virgin just to buy more carriages?
Well, that's the problem. It costs them money to do that, because they have to hire the carriages as they're owned by a rolling stock company, and this is the difference with the old railway. British Rail, they owned the stock, they could provide the carriages. So there's a disincentive to really provide more carriages. So that is one of the problems of the privatised railway.
Now, do you think other train companies are likely to follow suit and do the same?
Well, I would like to see that happen, because we do have a capacity problem, but really we do need more carriages, so government has the answer. And the word on the street is that the government leaned on Virgin and said, look, you've got to provide more seats or you don't get the franchise extension.
But realistic, that's not going to be a priority for the government, is it?
I don't think so, no.
So what can campaigning groups like you do? What are you asking for?
I think we need to see more attention paid to providing more seats on particular trains. So this is welcome to that extent, but really we do need to have some more fundamental changes which allow more carriages to be made available, and that's a long-term aim, I think, for anybody who wants to see more passenger comfort. But my message is, if you want speed, go Virgin from West Coast. If you want comfort, I would go for Chiltern.
OK, all right. Phil Davis, many thanks. The Care Quality